Hello, welcome to Royal Black and Elite. I'm Lady TrenettWilson, your social historian and lecturer. Thanks for taking some time out of your day today to learn a little bit about Royal Black and Elite history. And today's lecture is going to take us to California. Right now, we are seeing Los Angeles burn, so many of the beautiful homes burn in the Palisades, and it's just so sad to see. And so I thought you would be interested to learn of a royal black and elite San Franciscan who was actually the first black millionaire in the United States. Often when we hear about who was the first black millionaire, people think it's Madam C.J. Walker, but indeed, it is William Leidesdorff Jr., and he is known as the Black founder of San Francisco. So let's get into our story. Again, thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. I really appreciate your support. Now, William's exact date of birth is unknown, but he is believed to have been born around 1810 in St. Croix, West Indies. He was born to a Jewish, half Dutch business merchant, and his name was William Leavesdorf Sr. His mother, her name was Anne Marie Sparks, and she was a Creole woman, and the couple had four children. William was considered illegitimate until July 18th, 1837, because the West Indies did not allow mixed race couples to be married. So he was illegitimate. What his dad did is he went to the Dutch court because, like I said, he was half, and he made them legitimate. He put his name on their birth certificates so that they could have a right to his land once he passed. When William was 24 in 1834, he migrated from St. Croix to New Orleans, where he became a naturalized citizen and a ship captain and master from 1834 to 1840. Now, he is believed to be, during that era, the last shipmaster in New Orleans because in 1822, South Carolina passed a law called the Negro Seaman Act. And what it did was it prevented the movement of black sailors, and it was all to prevent slave revolts. And I left a link down below to the slave revolts of that time, so definitely check it out. From New Orleans, he became the master on a schooner called the Julienne, and that schooner sailed to Yerba Buena, which would become San Francisco. Now, in 1841, this area was a part of Mexico. So when he arrived in San Francisco, the city had about 30 European and Mexican families, and this is according to the census. He had been a sailor, so he saw opportunity to make a lot of money and to meet a need. His father was a businessman. He taught him how to conduct business, how to run a business, and he gave him a little money so that he can buy his first steamboat. So William launched the first steamboat on the San Francisco Bay and Sacramento River. He then built the city's first hotel. He called it the City Hotel. He not only opened the hotel, but he also opened the first commercial shipping warehouse, what would be called Leavesdorf Street. So I mentioned earlier that California was a part of Mexico. So when people moved to the area, and especially a man like Leavesdorf, who was very prominent and wealthy, the Mexican government approached him and they wanted to make a deal with him. This was the deal. They said, listen, we'll give you a land grant of 35,521 acres on the south bank of the American River, where it now would be near Sacramento. In return, he had to do three things. Number one, he had to convert to Catholicism. He had been baptized Lutheran when he was a child. Number two, he had to learn to speak Spanish. And number three, he had to accept Mexican citizenship. Well, as you would guess, he named his property Rancho Rio de los Americanos. You know that this was not a hard decision. He went on to establish extensive commercial relationships and businesses in Hawaii, Alaska, and throughout the Mexican California territory. For the next 8 years, he served as an alderman. And after the U.S. Mexican War ended and California became a part of the U.S., he was one of the first San Francisco board members. The board established the first public school, and he was elected the city treasurer. He donated a portion of his land for the school. His land was valued at over $1,445,000. That would be around $45 million today. And the gold they found in his land ballooned its worth. So it just continued to grow day after day after day. So Leidesdorff had a secure future, financially wealthy. But as so many of our stories do, it takes a turn. You see, all of a sudden, in 1848, when Leidesdorff was only 38 years old, he contracted something at that time called brain fever. Today, it would be connected to something like scarlet fever, meningitis, or encephalitis. When he passed away, suddenly, the city was devastated. The flag flew half staff. All the companies closed down. Literally, his money had fueled San Francisco and had built it from the ground. Now, unfortunately, like so many of our other stories as well, remember we just found out about Amanda Dixon and the money that was left to her. I've also left a link down below for you to check her story out. Leidesdorff passed without a will. He had no living relatives in California. He was not married and he had no children. So the state stepped in to take his, and they were going to auction it off and keep the money. Now, in steps this scoundrel. His name is Joseph Folsom, and he knew of William's wealth because he was in the, and he knew about a contract that William had with the army. So this is what Folsom does. He took leave from the army in 1849 and traveled back to West Indies, met up with William's mother and siblings, and he convinced her to sign over all of William for $75,000. That, by the way, he would break up into three payments. Now, mind you, Williams' property is well over. It started at 1,000,004. It was well over 2 or 3 million at this time. So this man had her sign over this property for $75,000. Well, the government of California wasn't. Now, it appears William never connected back with his family, his siblings, or his mother. So she went to the Dutch court for relief and she put a claim in for the money. So now here you have Folsom with a claim, Anna with a claim, and the state of California with a claim. This battle lasted 10 years and went all the way up to the Supreme Court. Ultimately, the court made three decisions that settled the matter legally. Number one, they refused Anna's and the siblings' claim because they said that they were not residents of California. Number two, he had some Danish family members, or so the court may have thought, but none of them came forward during this whole 10-year battle, so they lost any claims that they had. Number three, Folsom was able to continue to keep any land that he had had up to that point and making money from that. He had already become a multi-millionaire at that point, and so he was able to keep some of the land, and then California took the rest of the land. But guess what happened? Suddenly, on July 19th, 1855, Folsom passed away also at only 38 years old from renal failure. So I had to bring this man to you. I thought he was extremely interesting. I thought the business moves that he made was definitely something that we could learn from. But again, I was kind of sad to see what allegedly happened to his money. Now, as you know, my lectures are for entertainment and educational purposes only. My sources were A.J.V. Sweesey, Early Days of Men in California, California Reports, 1854, and Wikipedia. I hope that you enjoyed learning about William Leidesdorff Jr. So now, when people ask you who was the first millionaire, you'll have the right answer. There's so much hidden history about the elite black people in our country, really around the world, and I'm glad I could bring his story to you today. As always, like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to comment down below. Our dinner, the La Roche dinner for the Titanic, has almost filled up. So I want you all to go down and make sure that you get your tickets. I'm going to be in Houston, Dallas, Florida, Chicago. The cities are continuing to add on. I am so excited. So make sure that you get your ticket and meet me in one of those places. I'll see you on another great episode of Royal Black and Elite.